Alabama took one on the chin last night, and none of us are happy about it. We're going to get into this. You see old Catfish is on the prowl right now. I'm in the studio, but we're here for you guys on this Sunday. It's time for Sunday Rollback. Roll Tide, everybody. Let's get this thing started. And got to tell you, am just in shock. We're better than this, aren't we? Well, I don't know. All right, Mick Gillispie and Chadwick Anderson. You can call him Chad. You can call him Catfish. It's time for Sunday Rollback. May even have Robbie, intern nephew Robbie, who's a freshman in Alabama. If he ever wakes up, come out here and talk to us as well. But Catfish, I want to start with this before we even get any. This is courtesy of Cover Crimson, right? You know Cover Crimson. I work there. I've got a little skin in the game, if you know what I mean, with a wink. This is last night's show. I want to show you this, and I want to show our audience this because I feel like this right here is important. Let me just get this started. Give us a thumbs up because we're going to be honest about how we feel. Clint, I'm absolutely embarrassed by this performance by Alabama today. Coaching stunk. Both sides of the ball stunk. Milroe, terrible. Officials, bad.
You can keep going if you want to. I mean, it's
you know how bad this was, Clint?
It's as bad as I've seen it in a very long time.
This is how bad it is. This mustache is gone.
You know what? Let's do it.
I'm cutting. We're going to hold on to this mustache to win a championship. Nope. Sorry. I'm going clean shaven. Terrible.
Hey, you know what? You look great now.
I look better?
You look great.
Honestly, man, I'm going to be honest, and I know you guys are fired up too. What an embarrassing game.
All right, there you go.
There you go. The stash was supposed to be until after Atlanta. But that performance last night was awful. They weren't prepared, Catfish. They weren't ready to go. No intensity. Coaching was bad. Just everything I just said. What a disaster. And I'm going back to Gene Stallings' days. That might be one of the worst game plans or executions of a game plan that I can remember Alabama having. I mean, going back to maybe some of those Mike DuBose teams in the the early 2000s where you lose to everybody. And you would wonder, why you even showed up. That's where I'm at with this right now. What the hell happened?
The problem with the DeBoer games and Shula and things like that is you knew you sucked. You had a bad roster. You didn't recruit that well. The team sucked. Those guys would have a 1 year out of their whole tenure flash in the pan. And you're like, oh, maybe this is it. But you were surprised when you won. Remember that 99 SEC championship team? That team lost to Louisiana Tech 2 weeks before they beat Florida in the Swamp.
I know.
So they just happened to catch lightning that year, win the SEC. Shula, 05. Remember they were 10-0 going into the LSU game in November, game day in Tuscaloosa, trying to be a national title contender. They were really just kind of frauds. They had won a lot of close games, kind of eked by. And that was it, right? That was their big year out of the 4 he was there. So the difference here, the roster is loaded. The cupboard was left stocked. Credit to DeBoer, he had really good transfers that came over. He has a roster full of playoff talent. They won the SEC last year. Now, I understand some guys aren't there anymore, but this team is equally as talented as last year. And to lay an egg, the egg got stuck trying to lay it. It's still stuck in there is how bad it was. Normally, I've gotten to the point By the way, I don't drink anymore. So, like, what do you do on days like these? Like, I've been stress eating all morning. So it's like Doritos and Reese's Pieces. But, Mick, that game last night, man, I can't put into words how angry I was. And I don't even get angry, like, when we lose anymore. Like, I'm disappointed. I'm like, man, that sucks. It eats at me. I'm still a fan. I really wanted to win. Like, that Rose Bowl last year hurt because I really felt like we had a chance to win it all. But the Vandy game, I was like, damn, we just got caught. We got surprised. We got ambushed. We weren't ready. Came off the Georgia game. Vandy's not that bad. It's just a bad situation. Tennessee, I was frustrated because something was going on. Milroe was hurt. The game plan wasn't bad. It's just we didn't execute. Last night, Mick, I was actually angry. Like, I couldn't talk to people. I was so pissed. And I was so pissed with how bad the offensive line played. I was pissed about C.J. Dupree dropping balls in the first half.
Oh, no.
I was pissed at our play calling was nothing but QB power and runs. I was pissed that we called it and it wasn't working. Meanwhile, Jam Miller is ripping off 6 yards a carry, but we're going back to QB power. I was getting pissed that our running backs had a combined 15 carries last night. I was getting pissed that a dumbass official doesn't know what covered up means. I'm pissed that you can't go back and review something like that. I knew you couldn't, but to me on replay, the goal of replay is to get the play right, correct? Like, that's the whole point of a replay system. Get the call right and make anything that's blatant and obvious, get it overturned and get it correct.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason at all. A play like that is black and white. That's not a call, Mick. There's no reason that can't be reviewable.
Yeah, well, that's right.
Changed.
What?
Those things, like, all of it together. And I guess the biggest part that pisses me off is that you can make excuses about the first 2 losses. You were playing a 500 team and a below 500 team to finish the year, to go to the SEC title game, to go to the playoff. And you weren't prepared.
Right. Well, look, Kat, let me say this about the play. The play that the guy called back the touchdown. I've watched college football for a long time. This year, the officials have been absolute bull crap. That play ended the game. When they effed that up, that ruined the entire game. It ended the game. We had no chance at that point. It was, and it's a shame because the catch that the kid made out there, Hollywood, was amazing. The play was great. Alabama put it together. They executed it. You could tell they were trying to figure out where they wanted everybody, and they did it. And then you got some official that is so stupid that he just couldn't get out of his own way. Look, dummy, let me tell him something. Listen, dummy, sneak a look on the scoreboard next time and save your ass, because you deserve to be back at the bank that you work at or the car dealership that you work at on a regular basis and not officiating our games. And then for everybody, for us to find out it's the same crew that got the water bottles thrown out on them. I'm just going to tell you right now, Chad, that if I had a water bottle, I'd throw it at him right now. I'd be the guy to start it. I don't care. That ruins that's $1 billion business. All of us watching these kids go out there and do their thing, and to have some jackass ruin it is unacceptable. The SEC ought to be ashamed. College football ought to be ashamed to have these guys out there every single week. You're doing a disservice to all of us.
Mick, it wasn't even that he missed it, right? He missed it. He threw the flag when the ball was caught.
Yeah, I know. It was complete crap.
He didn't even drop it at the time of the snap. And that's an immediate penalty.
Well, Einstein was what Einstein official was saying is that until that guy touched the ball, it wasn't illegal touching. But what Einstein didn't know, and for you Auburn fans, I'm being sarcastic. He's not Einstein. He's not smart. It's the opposite of that. This guy is so stupid. Like, he forgot. I think what happened was Dummy forgot where the players were lined up. And so he didn't realize that the two guys that were back didn't catch the ball. It was the guy that was forward. It was a legal formation. But Einstein, we'll call him Einstein, or for little cat in the back, we'll call him Baby Einstein. But it's the guy just lost track of his job. And in a situation like that, if you don't know, if you're not 110%, if you're not right, don't do it.
But here's the thing, okay? If you're covered up, and I'm about 80% on this, okay? But if you're covered up at the line of scrimmage and you go downfield, it is illegal touching, but it can also be ineligible receiver downfield. So he could have called that earlier if that was the issue as well. Because the same thing with a lineman, like a lineman's covered up. So if the lineman goes downfield, it's ineligible.
Right.
So if you're covered up, you're covered up. Whether you touch it or not, you're an ineligible man downfield.
Yep.
You can't be covered up and go downfield.
Right. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that we're saying that on the broadcast, but we got a guy that's probably out there doing yard work for a living, refereeing games, and has isn't capable of the job. I shouldn't call that dummy a dummy. I mean, I know that. So I'll just call him a stupid ass and we'll move on to something else. Sorry, Chad. It's just awful. I'm sorry. It's awful. Not acceptable. Let's talk about Milroe. I know a lot of people in the chat want Milroe out, but what I want to start with is Kalen DeBoer from the postgame press conference talking about Milroe's performance. Let me put this into the show here, and then you and I will kind of chew on it a little bit. But, he had some comments, and I think they're worth listening to, talking about Milroe.
Yeah, I think stepping back, I just felt like early in the game, there was different things. I mean, drops, just flat out drops, balls we lost in the lights, just different uncharacteristic things, weird things that happened. And I thought he was actually putting the ball where he needed to. We just needed to help him out a little bit. The screen pass, they jump it, and you have to assume that those blocks are going to happen, and you're reading a different defender. But then there's the pick six that goes the other way, and I don't know if he, just didn't see him or predetermined things. But there's still a lot of game left, and I felt like a lot of things he was doing, he was fighting and battling and doing a lot of things well for our football team. And we just all needed to be a little better. So I thought he kept battling. I looked in his eyes, and I think he's come a long ways all season long, and just the way he wants to go out there and keep leading the team, and the guys kept fighting for him.
All right, Kat, you heard Kalen DeBoer. He talked about the game last night, and he's right. I'm telling you, he's right about one thing. Guys weren't catching the ball. One play, Burton lost it in the lights. That happens. It just happens. Ryan Williams and the tight ends kept missing passes. And then when Milroe got rushed, he looked like he'd never seen a blitz before. And he threw two of the worst interceptions that I've ever seen, And there was a lot of I ever seens last night. But I thought that when he got shaken up, that DeBoer was going to use that as an opportunity to put in Ty Simpson. I don't think that it would have been a bad move to do that because Milroe obviously was struggling, but it sounds like he's sticking with Milroe. Your thoughts? Let me unmute you, Kat. Start over right now.
Very good.
Sorry about that. Your car was making too much noise in the press conference. We had to mute you.
Milroe's the best option, though. You got to understand that. Last night, though, I thought the same. Like, why not put him in that situation? Just because the game was over. Like, when that happened to Milroe and he got injured, it was the fourth quarter. We were already past the Ryan Williams illegal touching. I would have liked to have seen it just for more reps. Like, if you're going to win the game at the moment. But I would say this, is that last night wasn't all Milroe's fault, okay? But there are things with Milroe where if he gets rattled, he can't come back.
Right.
He just can't do it. And that's the issue I have with him. I'm not saying he was responsible for everything, because Dupree dropped passes. Williams only dropped one, but it was an obvious drop. You know, Bernard lost the one in the lights, you're right. But it was things like, let me reset. You remember Richard Young came into the game in the first half? And I don't know if anybody saw that or talked about it. Richard Young was the back, and QB power was not working. So you bring in your third string running back and you run QB power. Now, it was an option, but Milroe kept it. And it's little things like this. I'm like, Jalen, I'm assuming this was the play call. But if this is the case, what in the world makes you think Richard Young is a decoy for you? Like, who's leaning in on Richard Young getting the ball?
Right.
No one. So what are we wasting that for? Like, and I don't know if that came from Nick Sheridan. I don't know if it was the option. I don't know if it was an option, but Sheridan said, you keep it. I don't know if Milroe truly tried to read it and thought, I got a better shot at keeping it. But it's like little mental things like that drive me insane. Because I'm sitting here going, Milroe, nobody believes Richard Young's getting this football. Nobody. And it was like, we were so stubborn offensively. So my thing with Milroe is, when Jalen's on, he might be the best quarterback in the country.
He can be. He's got that ability.
That's what I mean. When he's gelling, man, he could be, and I'll just say it, when he's on, he is either 1A or 1B best quarterback in the country. All right? He's that good when he's on. The problem is that him being on up here and the drop-off is way, way, way too far. Like, he goes back to spend like that. Those are the numbers he put up last night. So that's the problem, is that you can't win a championship. And I know he won the SEC last year, and I know they made the playoffs. But even then, like, the numbers, and it was like the team won in spite of it. Like, they just continued to find ways to win. It was almost a team of destiny last year. They came up short against Michigan in overtime. But the drop-off is too far. The consistency is too far gone for him week to week. And it's just way too inconsistent. So I appreciate Milroe. He won an SEC title. He made it to the semis. He's had Alabama competitive. Bama was going into week 12 last night with a chance to go to the SEC championship game. He's kept them relevant, but personally, I'm ready to move on, because I'm just ready for something that's more consistent.
Right. Hey, Kat, I want to introduce you to my, this is my nephew right here, Robbie Michael III. We just call him Robbie. Really, he goes by Rob, but he's in the house. He's he's really his first year at Alabama, but he's supposed to be a freshman, but he came to school with 60 some credits. So he's technically a junior, but he's at Alabama right now. So, and he's also our intern.
What's up, Robbie? I'm glad he goes by Rob or Robbie. That would have been a mouthful to spit out every.
Yeah, this is the first time he's ever used the third, but he is the third. So I told him down south we like the third, like it's okay. So let Robbie, Catfish and I are talking about Jalen Milroe and that performance last night. Cat thinks that he can be the best quarterback in the country when he's on, and when he's off. Obviously, last night was, to me, one of the worst performances. That performance really hurts his draft stock. He's no longer a Heisman candidate. That was just terrible. But What's the feel around campus when it comes to the quarterback battle for you current Alabama students?
I mean, for us current Alabama students, every white girl on campus, you know, depending on the game, depending on who looks better in uniform, that's who they're playing with.
So a lot of jerseys, a lot of fours.
Yeah, a lot of fours. they love to see them, but they love to hate on them. You know, I think it's really common. You know, if we lose a game, everyone hates them. If we win a game, everyone loves him. I don't think anyone really sits back and realizes like how great he can be. Like Catfish said, when you know we're doing good, I do think he can be the best QB in SEC. I mean, I wouldn't go and say the full conference or NCAA, but I think you know we really downplay. I think last night was terrible. I think you know he really needed to run through the pockets better. You know, I think he needed to do everything better, but. You know, he had a terrible night. Like you said, it's going to hurt his draft stock. I think it's going to take him out of the Heisman as well. But when he is on, I mean, I have yet to see another QB compete at the level he's competed. And I know me and you can go back to this, you know, being from Baltimore and seeing Lamar. But I mean, it's the exact same thing with him. So maybe it's, you know, this is the first time since Mike Vick we're seeing QBs like this. And, you know, these defenses are being a lot more combatant than they were with Mike Vick. So maybe we're just seeing a problem with running QBs, you know. Maybe they aren't able to do it all.
Well, I think the problem in Catfish, you know, it's not that the running QB can't do it. I mean, I think they're dynamic, but you got if they keep you in the pocket and they take the run away from you, you got to be good enough to be able to throw out of that. And I think there's guys that can do that. But there's just game plans that these guys throw out. Jalen Hurts had problems when he was at Alabama against really, you know, defenses that could get after the quarterback. And I think Milroe, like you said, Cat, has a lot of talent, but he's got he hasn't figured out the way to throw out of some of these blitz defenses, and it's killing him.
Yeah, he's not figuring out the hot reads. He's not understanding what's happening, what's coming, what's going to be thrown at him. The other thing too is I mentioned the mental stuff about, like, Richard Young was my example. Look, early in that game, there were at least two, maybe a third one, where he had the first down. It was third down, and he's running, and he had the first down if he just turns upfield. But he's always looking for, like, that 60-yard play and keeps trying to bounce things outside. It's like, we don't need a 60-yard run right now. We need a 5-yard run, and we need a 5-yard run for a first down. And it's little things like just keep the chains moving, just keep doing this, just keep doing that, just keep the ball going. And instead, you know, he kind of put the team in trouble because I don't want to say he's selfish, but you know, you can't always be looking for the home run. And that goes back to, like, your blitzing. When he's facing that, he's got to look for the gimme pass. He's got to look for the 3-yard pass, the 5-yard pass, not the 30-yard bomb to Ryan Williams.
Right. Well, look, as we wrap up Sunday rollback here on the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel, like and subscribe, guys. Thanks for hanging out. This team doesn't have time to sit around and cry about this. Yeah, I mean, they still have a very, you know, slight chance to make the college football playoff. Probably not going to happen. But who cares about the college football playoff? It's Iron Bowl week. And there's one thing that I don't want, and that's I don't want Robbie's junior season, when he's really a freshman in age, to be like ours was, Chad, when we lost to Auburn. Although I think mine, we actually beat Auburn. But yours, we lost. It was part of the 5, right?
Yeah, my first ever snap in the Iron Bowl was Cadillac Williams for 80 and a tutty. So that was not a good welcome to the Iron Bowl for me.
So what do they do to get ready? Final thoughts.
They got a brutal week ahead because Peyton Thorne and Auburn look like they've actually put it together a little bit, and you've got the exact same quarterback with probably better offensive weapons coming at you in 6 days. So they got to take the Oklahoma game tape, the Vanderbilt game tape, and talk to Nick Saban. Yeah, I hope Saban's in Tuscaloosa all week because they got to figure it out, and they're going to have another running quarterback, more RPOs, more options, and that defense is going to have to adjust quickly.
Well said. All right, Robbie, would it ruin your freshman year if Alabama blows it this week against the Auburn Tigers?
I mean, you know, being a new fan of Alabama, I didn't realize how big games like this were. And now that every time we see an Auburn fan, we spit on them, I understand how big these games are, and it would definitely ruin my season.
Verbal spit.
Yeah, verbal. Sure.
I'll tell you my Auburn story. Played on the lacrosse team at Alabama, and we played Auburn, and I didn't know either years ago. And they not only beat the hell out of us, they threw bottle caps at us. So the next time we saw them, we lost like 20-2 or something. We beat them, and it was one of the greatest feelings all time in a very physical game because we trained and practiced remembering the intensity of a lacrosse game. You take that and you times it by 1,000,000, and that's what it's like on Saturday when Alabama and Auburn get together. And I hope Coach DeBoer knows that. This is going to be something different than anything he's experienced, even last year's national championship game and Final Four. Kat, I want to tell everybody about you, man. It's always great to see you, even when you're swimming somewhere downstream. You're always on the go and you're always working. And people know you as Mortgage Dad Chad. They know you as Catfish. You are the man that got me into my home here as my mortgage guy and my studio. Robbie, how do you like the studio?
I mean, it's amazing.
It's amazing. And it's because of you. Tell us about ChadwickAnderson.com.
That website, that's where all the tools are, all the info is, the mortgage calculators, whatever you need, all my information, plus it's on the screen there. But you're right, Mick. I actually enjoy working, and we were helping somebody this morning on a Sunday morning get ready, get qualified, make sure they were good to go, help somebody else over on Friday afternoon. They bought a home. Mick, the seller, is giving them $20,000 towards closing costs that we're using to help buy down their interest rate, get a lower payment, take advantage of the market, all those great things. So we're helping people with refinances as well. You know, holidays are here. People go into credit card debt. If it's you, that's okay. Everybody does it. But you may need to get bailed out. And so we've been helping families save on average about $600-700 a month refinancing. So if you just want to look, chat, we'll take an assessment of your situation. That's the phone number and the email. It comes straight to me. I'm the one that answers. Would love to chat with you. Or if we just need to do therapy for each other over last night's game, we can do that as well.
I love that, man. The fact that you're willing to help all of us, not just with our mortgages, but with our fandom of Alabama. We appreciate it. Hey, a couple things, guys. The holiday season is here. Relive some of those classic Alabama wins with a Daniel Moore print from newlifeart.com and use that promo code Bama Tailgate. That will get you 20% off all of the classics. And young Robbie, when you come in here and look across this wall, these are all Daniel Moore prints, and they are fine art. He is the best fine artist of sports prints anywhere. And we got him right here in Alabama. So we've actually had him on the channel. Go back and watch the video. He's fantastic, and 20% off when you use that promo code Bama Tailgate. Now, finally, we just were at Pearl River Resort. Jake Coker and I did the tailgate show from Dancing Rabbit Golf Course. And when you go to Pearl River, go to that awesome casino. And then when you walk in, say, hey, I want to go to the sports book. Yep, Timeout Sports Lounge. Go in there, spend $50 wagering, having a good time or more. And then take that ticket to Dancing Rabbit, and you can play 2 amazing courses, the Azaleas or the Oaks. They have invested a ton, millions of dollars into this golf course. It is called the Augusta. You can play for a reason. It's been featured in magazines across the country. $40 you can play it when you go to the sports book and put down $50. Put it on Bama basketball to run the table into the Final Four, whatever you want. But take advantage of that if you're a golfer. But you got amazing concerts coming up like Tonic and Fuel, celebrating 30 years of Pearl River Resort, and we appreciate them for being a part of what we do here. Okay, so guys, thank you for being here. Keep your head up and roll Tide.
sword.